So my checkpoint for the UDL was 2.1, clarify vocabulary and symbols. So this was the source that we were given. It's on udlcenter.org. It goes over kind of an overview of this specific checkpoint and what different resources are good examples of this UDL and why. So it kind of gives you a bunch of different websites that you can use, which is super helpful. It's a great resource to use. But we had to obviously choose our own resource. So I just looked at these key considerations as far as what would make a certain website a good UDL. And they say, how does this help learners meet the goal? How does this account for the variability of all learners? And are the vocabulary and symbols clear to all learners? So I had to really consider those three questions when figuring out if this would be a good UDL to use or this website that I chose would be a good UDL. Additionally, we were told to use our cards. We had to play the cards today. So for this assignment, so I have the Jack and Queen of Diamonds. So my two limitations are that I have a small class size and that I have two students with physical impairments. So for that physical impairment, it can be physical, hearing, or visual. So the resource that I chose was this vocabulary game website called vocabulary.co.il or IL. Vocabulary can be fun. So basically it's a bunch of games that give the teacher a very interactive way of teaching vocabulary to students with impairments or not. The reason I say that is because each game is, I'll just choose this one for an example. Each game has a visual.
Animals.
Oh, sorry about that. They have a visual, an auditory part, so you can hear everything that it says, as well as a another visual of like the picture. So you'll see what I mean in a second. So you can choose your category. There's a bunch of different ones.
Animals, fruit, kitchen, musical instruments, transportation.
So again, for each time you click on anything on this game, on any of these games, you get that that verbal the verbal cue of what it is, so that way anyone that has a hearing impairment can still see what's happening, and anyone that with a visual impairment can still hear what's happening or what we're doing. So you can choose different categories, and then once you start the game, it's set up just like a matching game, as you can see. So when you click on each card,
bicycle,
you get that picture, the visual of the actual word, as well as the auditory. So, or as well as the audio, I should say. So you get all three.
Bicycle.
So then you just match them. So it kind of gives them all of those different representations of the vocabulary word. And again, for anyone that has an impairment of any kind, whether it's visual, physical, or hearing, they can still utilize this source.
Truck, scooter.
And so that's just one example of the game, of a game that's offered on this website. There's a bunch of others that are super fun for kids. I would say this is more geared towards elementary, which is what I'm focusing on anyway for my major. So I really like this, and I think I would utilize this. And there's a bunch of different free games that are available on this site as well that aren't shown here. So you can kind of choose what you're looking for. And then the key considerations, going back to those, how does this help learners meet the goal? So it's teaching them vocabulary in an interactive and fun way. Like I said, it's mostly, I would say, lower L, maybe a little bit of upper L, because you can make it a little bit harder. Some of the games are harder than others, but definitely elementary. How does this account for the variability of all learners? As I said, students that have any sort of impairment, they still are able to utilize this source just because of the amount of how it's kind of differentiated. So it has the audio, it has the visuals. So that's really, really nice to have. And then, are the vocabulary and symbols clear to all learners? Yes, because it shows, like I said, the picture of the vocab word, the actual vocab word written out, as well as the audio of what the word says. So it kind of allows students of all different learners, they can utilize this and see and be able to participate and see these different vocab words and learn from them. So that is my resource for this project, and thank you.